'cause she's a vampire, strolling through the city, has got no pity.
Man, have I simultaneously been looking forward to and dreading this video for Vampire the Masquerade. We're talking about the Grave Faces today. We're talking about what is pretty much the most evil, reprehensible clan in the entire game. We are talking about the ones who thought genocide was a fantastic idea. We are talking about the most unabashedly dickish vampires in all of Vampire the Masquerade, the Tremere. For the first time that I have ever seen, a game has created a painfully overpowered entity for players to play and nerfs it exclusively by placating to pre-existing moral codes. The Tremere are, without a doubt, one of the most overpowered entities in Vampire the Masquerade and World of Darkness at large. Only a few esoteric clans compete with them in this regard, and unlike them, they are very commonly known. Really, when it comes to the Tremere, there are only like two things that really kind of prevent people from wanting to play them that I have found. The first of which is that they are stuck in a very rigid hierarchy of the pyramid, climbing your way up. So the shit rolls downhill, and you start at the very bottom, and then you have to work your way up the pyramid so you get less of the crap hitting you, which is not typically fun, and they don't like Descent, which we'll get into later. The other one is that they are completely fine with genocide, not for ideology's sake, but because they just wanted to show that they could, that they're powerful, and that they wanted to send a message to everybody else. Those are the only two hedging bets that keep people from playing Tremere. Other than that, they're the most overpowered entity in the entire game. If I were to use a phrase or analogy to truly relate to the Tremere, they would be the group of studious serial killers who suddenly gain superpowers and have only since used it to ruin everyone's day because they can. Don't get me wrong here, I actually like the Tremere as a concept. I like that they're just so evil. Like, they are, without a doubt, the most unabashedly evil assholes in a game made of evil assholes. I mean, these guys are the assholes who cursed an entire clan of assassins because they could and felt like it. They are the guys who not only usurped and destroyed an entire clan, but made them out to be the bad guys in the end, and everyone believes them. Even the survivors of that clan, some of them believe the Tremere's lies. These are the assholes who got rid of all their dissidents when they suddenly spontaneously combusted all at once. The Tremere are the most evil in this game easily, and they have a very Sith aura from Star Wars, where if you want that kind of power, you have to walk down a very dark path. Unfortunately, when it comes to the inspiration of the Tremere, where they came from, where the concept came from in their creation, I don't really have much to go on. I did some digging to try to find a common answer, and unlike the others, which can be pinpointed pretty well, the Tremere inspiration is either unknown or a completely original concept. The best that I could find was a mix of wanting magical power similar to a wizard from Dungeons & Dragons, and the other one being the RPG Ars Magica. Both of which I am weary on whether or not it's true or false, so I'm not really going to champion either as the root of the Tremere. I'm just going to say that the Tremere origins of their concept is ambiguous. Which honestly, I think it adds to the mystique of the clan itself. But on to the fun stuff. Who are the Tremere? Now that is a fun story. I'm going to give a bit of a narrative account, so forgive me if I miss some details. The Tremere, along with the Giovanni, are the OG usurper clans, and it was the Tremere that made it all truly fashionable, with how fucking well it went for them, and how awful it went for the other guy. The Tremere are not one of the original 13 clans. They used to be mages, similar to the World of Darkness game Mage the Ascension. However, whenever they realized their Thaumaturgy blood magic was losing potency, the mages collectively made the decision to become vampires, and whenever they did it at the horrific cost of a clan trying to achieve Golconda, the Salubri. Golconda, for those who are unaware, is kind of like a vampiric nirvana. It's kind of if you, like, do good deeds and you continue to move down this good path, you can eventually shed the curse of vampirism and become a human again. Believe me, there's way more to it than that. Like, there's entire books dedicated to it, but we're not here to really discuss Golconda right now, so I'm just going to leave it at that very minimalistic description. At either rate, not only did the Tremere usurp the Salubri and systematically eliminate them, they also created a propaganda campaign so good that painted the Salubri as they were soul-sucking demons when they weren't, that everyone began to believe that the Salubri were in fact soul-sucking demons. Even some Salubri believed that they were soul-sucking demons. Like, this is how good it went. This is to the point where actually, like, there are players that I have met before that, like, have even bought into some of this propaganda, too, to the point where they don't, like, I ran into people who, like, legitimately, I don't know if they legitimately believe it, but they were, like, so, like, caught in on the joke that they refused to accept the Salubri's existence, period. Like, that's how good this propaganda was for the Tremere. After that day, the Tremere have constantly looked for new and inventive ways to make themselves the most feared vampire clan in the entire game. Something the Tzimisce really don't like, by the way. They cursed the entire Assamite clan, made all dissident Tremere spontaneously combust one night, and enforced their stringent hierarchy of the pyramid that goes from the bottom to the top, with Tremere sitting at the very tip of the pyramid, looking down on his entire clan. And that, honestly, is pretty much the history of the Tremere as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm about to get into some other concepts of the Tremere as well. Like, this isn't just a, here's the Tremere, okay, thanks, bye. I feel like it's the best way to tell the history of the Tremere than just by telling you all just how evil this clan is and how insanely powerful that they are. Even the good ones you have to instantly question because of the fact that they are a Tremere. Even the good Tremere has to turn a blind eye to some messed up shit that also includes creating a clan of gargoyles and enslaving them out of other vampire clans that they kidnapped. And they have to either turn a blind eye to this or think that, like, slavery and destruction and just mass genocide aren't that big of a deal. One of my favorite vampire memes out there is one that I saw where, and I know I'm trying to explain a meme, but please, it's just simply a picture of a Tremere, and it's just saying, like, why don't I have any friends? And every time I think that, like, everybody who's not a Tremere main says the same thing, and it's basically like, of course we're not friends with you. Like, if we ever piss you off one day, we might spontaneously combust in the night. Like, we might never be seen again. Like, it's best to just be detached and not talk to you than to have you as a friend or an enemy. A little bit more of an overview of the Tremere. The Tremere, after becoming vampires, firmly entrenched themselves in the Camarilla and kind of became the sworn enemy of the Tzimisce. While the Lasombra and Ventrue are constantly at each other's throats, it's the Tzimisce and the Tremere that always glare across the way at each other, shouting obscenities left and right. Does that mean that the Tremere champion and truly believe in the Camarilla Code? Some of them, maybe. Some of them. But for the most part, the Tremere kind of consider the Camarilla as a means to an end. It's a symbiotic relationship. The Camarilla know that the mages who can fuck everyone over are no longer a threat because they're on their side, and the Tremere have people who are literally willing to kiss their asses until they are no longer in the room when they talk about how awful they are, and also being petrified that they might be listening. Don't get me wrong, Tremere love that shit. They love the fact that they are so feared and that they're whispered about. Like, I mean, if they have a fetish for being scary. I mean, I've sit here and talked about how much the Tremere are assholes who love power, and they are. But let's talk about some of the cool stuff, the reasons that people like to play Tremere, and like the Thaumaturgy and things like that. So the thing the Tremere are most known for is the very overpowered discipline of blood magic known as Thaumaturgy. Thaumaturgy is similar to Magic the Ascension in that the limits of the discipline are really only limited to your imagination. I mean, they include things like teleportation, like hundreds of miles if you're really good at it, setting things on fire, manipulating blood, manipulating someone else's blood. So, the sky's the limit. There is, like, a set of, like, pre-approved in the book ones, but even the book actually goes into that, like, you can work with your storyteller to come up with different and unique paths that might not be in the book. So, it's just one of those wonderful things where, like, if you really think that you have an idea and you don't find the book, talk with your storyteller and you can just create it. I mean, the Tremere also have 2 other disciplines just like anybody else, but don't be surprised when your game has a Tremere and they only put all of their dots into boosting their 50-some-odd Thaumaturgy pass, because it truly is just such a unique, fluid, and inventive discipline. I think there is also something that you really need to consider whenever you're about to run a vampire game as well, whenever it comes to the Tremere, and that is a very important question on if you are going to allow Sabbat and Anarch Tremere. Now, the story goes that there were several Tremere that split off from their Camarilla approved group and kind of left the pyramid to go with the Sabbat. It's because of them that the Blood Brothers, another clan, exists, because the Tzimisce and the Tremere worked together to create them. And believe me, there are some really interesting shock troopers as well, but more on the Blood Brothers later. The Tremere did not like the fact that people said, no, we don't want to be in the pyramid, we want to be in the Sabbat. And so they had an S one day branded on their forehead. Yeah, there is a branded S on their forehead to let all other Tremere know which ones were actually working with the Sabbat. That would not go away, no matter what spells that they did. And then, a little bit later past the S on the forehead, they one day all spontaneously combusted. Just one night, they're all together, and they just catch on fire, and they're all dead. All of them. Except for the ones that went back to the Camarilla. Even those who switched that night to the Camarilla, they didn't burn. So whenever you're playing a Vampire the Masquerade game, you have to ask, am I going to allow Sabbat Tremere, and am I going to allow Anarch Tremere? Now, myself personally, I cannot allow Sabbat and Anarch Tremere because I feel like it ruins the mystique of the Tremere. Like, it basically takes away their teeth. Like, you know, there were people who were able to chump them, and I don't think that that's really fair. So I don't think that Tremere would allow Anarch Tremere. I do not think the Tremere would allow Sabbat Tremere to exist. I think they would be too good at clearing it out. But, you know, your games aside, I think anytime that you're running a vampire game, you have to ask that question, especially if you have someone who wants to be a Tremere. Are you going to allow an Anarch or Sabbat Tremere? We're coming to the end of this video. We have covered some of the most insane concepts of Clan Tremere and Vampire the Masquerade itself, but I think we still need to ask the final question: where does the Tremere fit in your game? First off, if you're playing a Tremere in the game, you also have to come up with the reason, why is your character hanging out with these others? Why is your character in this coterie with non-Tremere when your character should be in a chantry with other Tremere studying under a regent to try to climb the ladder? So you have to first off justify why you're even hanging out with people who are not Tremere. But after that, you have to really think about what your role is in this game, and your role is basically that you're the wizard from D&D. You are the one that can rain pain onto people. You're the one that can do some crazy and inventive things in order to fix and get out of situations. You are kind of a jack of all trades, so to speak. And so whenever it comes to the game, just remember, you're typically probably going to be the one to look at to solve a lot of problems with that Thaumaturgy. So be creative with how you select your disciplines. What more is there to say about the Tremere? Well, actually, there is a lot to say. I feel like I missed a great deal when it comes to the Tremere. The Tremere just have so many intriguing aspects, and they're just so unabashedly evil that I still feel like I wasn't able to cover just about everything in these few couple of minutes. The Tremere are fascinating in the fact that they are just the biggest pricks that you will ever meet in your life. And it's really some of, like, the best games. Like, you can make the best villains out of a Tremere. They make the best bad guys. But I'm sure that in this video I missed some things, so please comment below if you think of some other cool details about the Tremere that need to be shared, and drop them in the comments so that way whenever people come to watch this video, they can go down to the comments and they can see some more information on the Tremere, things that I may have missed. But beyond that, I'm going to call it a day for here. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. Next time, not going to ask for recommendations and whatnot, because I do feel like the Ventrue need to be the last one whenever we're discussing the rest of the Camarilla clan. So next time, we're going to be talking about Clan Malkavian. So get ready for that one. Until then.